I was thinking one thing about dating is, and I'm not ready to date. One thing about dating is when you show up to the restaurant, you know, within like 10 seconds, like, you know. So it's really awkward when you show up and you realize within, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds of hugging them that you don't like them. And then you have to sit through the entire dinner. And then you just keep ordering spicy margaritas and spicy margaritas. And then by your like, I don't know, maybe third or fourth spicy margarita, you're like, okay, maybe I do like them. It's really not that awesome to judge people on my first impression of them. It's so crazy. Like now that I've had 3 margaritas and 4 French fries, now I could see myself making out with this person. But it's funny because guess what? I can't see much of anything because I've had 3 or 4 margaritas probably actually. And then you're like, after you make out with them, you're like, okay, yeah, I probably like them, right? I mean, out with them, right? So like, I probably like them enough to go on another date with them. And then you go on, I don't know, like 600 dates with them.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You meet a guy and you know within 5 seconds as to whether or not you want to marry him? Alright, so in other words, you take one look at this guy and determine his value based on how much blood is flowing to your reproductive organs. And considering that you're painfully lonely and have self-worth, which is on a good day, knee deep in the gutter, you need to consume a whole bunch of alcohol just so you can be okay with making out with them. And yet the fact that you need to consume 3 to 4 margaritas each time you see this guy doesn't concern you as much as whether or not you actually want to date him. So I really don't think it's too big of a stretch to see that cirrhosis of the liver is going to be on the rise with these broads, and I'm willing to bet that once these medical studies can't be buried anymore, it's still going to be the men's fault as to why women decided they needed to drink away 20 years of their lives. I mean, she needs to consume inhuman amounts of alcohol just to prepare herself for being able to suck face with a dude in the back of his freaking car.
And then you're sitting across from the table on the 601st date and you're like, I don't even like this person at all, actually. There's a lot of things I don't like about this person. One time I went on 2 dates with this guy who gave me these like gummies that like enhance your mood. That's all I'll say. I literally, the way it was like placebo effect or something, I thought that I was in love with this guy. He asked if he could buy me a cat. I said, yes, you can buy me a cat. Obviously, you can buy me a cat. What? Anyone can buy me a cat. The 3rd date, I show up. He doesn't bring these special gummies. And the entire time I'm sitting there and I'm like, I hate you. I hate everything you're saying. I hate everything you're doing. You're being mean to this waiter. When were you a good person to be on a 3rd date? How am I on a 3rd date with you? I don't even know your last name. I don't even follow you on Instagram. Oh, guess what? I went in the bathroom, looked him up on Instagram for the first time. Hated. I hated him. I almost let him buy me a cat. And we would have joint custody of a cat. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. Sometimes you have like 20 margaritas and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm getting engaged. But then one day, guess what? You wake up, you don't have any margaritas. All of a sudden, they're your enemy. Think about that.
Emotional damage.
Well, it sounds to me like you just wanted to date the gummies and not the facilitator of said gummies. I mean, you said it yourself there, sister. The second this guy didn't provide you with any substances, you straight up rip into him for not being able to get you high. As if that's his friggin' responsibility, and that's your problem right there. You're dating because you want to escape reality by abusing substances, which kind of makes sense. You're so broken that you refuse to face reality, so escaping it is your only recourse. But if that was the case, it's not fair to demand that men, especially the ones that you despise, need to facilitate this inebriation. But when you take a look at how modern women are encouraged to act as irresponsibly as possible, it's really no surprise that these women can only feel the most basic of emotions when they're freaking plastered. And for the record, lady, the idea of you owning cats with the amount that you drink is kind of unsettling. But then again, we're pretty much on the precipice of an era of single drunk women in their 40s who own dozens of cats, so if anything, it's par for the course for today's day and age.
It's okay if you don't want to be single. It's okay if you would rather be in a relationship. It's okay if you enjoy the feeling of being in love. It's okay if you want to text someone good morning bae every morning. And it's okay if you want a kiss on the forehead. The reason that singlehood is pushed for self-development as an essential, like you have to be okay being alone to be with somebody, is because when you get into a relationship, we want it to be the right one for you. We want it to be healthy. If you run around every day like, I'm just gonna be single forever and no one's ever gonna love me and it's just so hard to find someone who's good, the more likely you are to accept a subpar partner. Someone who's not gonna buy you flowers or listen to you or pick you up your favorite fast food on the way home.
What? Were you saying something? Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I gotta ask you something, Toots. Why is it that your necklace is attached with the very same thing that you have pinned through your septum? Is that a spare septum ring or something? I mean, do you detach that if you lose the one that you have lodged in your face? Because that's what it looks like to me. I mean, that's fine if that's how you want to waste your money, but that's really the least of your worries right now. You're hyper fixated on the concept of the perfect relationship, that you want to be madly in love with the perfect guy, and any man who destroys that fantasy is somehow a subpar man who's going to make you miserable, even though you've more or less decided that you'd rather be miserable than settle for an average dude. And if you want to find yourself a good guy who treats you right, all you need to do is go outside and be friendly to guys. Those men are certainly not that rare, but you're more in love with the idealized fantasy than you are with actually finding a guy, which is why you get so disgusted at the idea of average. And it's just about as disgusting as what you've done to your freaking face.
If you're so uncomfortable being alone, you're way more likely to end up being all needy for a bum. Who doesn't deserve it? To be loved, to be needed is a very beautiful feeling, and I know it's something you want to experience. So you should find someone who also enjoys that. And you also want to avoid codependency. So if your entire emotional stability is dependent on somebody who doesn't even exist yet and hasn't come into your reality yet, it doesn't exactly look like it's going to fare well when you do find someone you want to be serious with. So yes, you're allowed to want romantic connection. Nothing can replace that if that's something you desire. No amount of ice baths, self-improvement books, baddie manuals is going to fill that hole, if you know what I'm saying. But make up an ideal partner in your head and start visualizing it, and don't settle unless those compromises feel like a beautiful unionizing of your own soul with another's. Bro, you got this. You won't be single forever, I promise.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
You're acting like being romantically involved with a dude is somehow a rare thing. It's really not. People have been doing it for literally thousands of years. The only difference is that people back then were less brain dead and were more willing to play within their league. It's all about the language that you're using, sweetheart. There aren't any compromising words in that gibberish that you're spewing. It's all or nothing with you. Either that man is going to treat you like a goddess queen who's going to buy you tampons and mid-shelf chocolates, or he's a straight up bum who doesn't deserve you. Romantic relationships are all about compromises and pretty much accepting that life isn't perfect, which seems to be the one thing that you refuse to settle on. So now you're forced to romanticize this idea thanks to movies you've watched and biased testimonials from TikTok videos, because that's the closest you'll ever get to a romantic relationship. And it's gotten to the point where you're incapable of bonding with another person unless the conditions are perfect, and you only got yourself to blame for that one, sister.
You blew it. Capiche?
Where did I find my high EQ tech boyfriend? Great question. I was in college, but if I was looking for one in New York, like, think about the classic places where people tell you, find a man in finance here, and go to the opposite of that. Options. 1, at Equinox in the middle of the day. The finance bros are probably not going to be working out in the middle of the day, but tech boyfriends with slightly remote jobs and flexibility workouts in the middle of the day. Sounds dorky, but hear me out. There are a lot of like tech get-togethers, like cheesy networking events. I know networking events are not for dating to find romantic partners, but it's a good place to meet someone, and you never know where something might go.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait just a minute. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
Lady, you are not qualified to give this advice because you met your boyfriend in college. And this advice just boils down to encouraging gold diggers to become gym creepers and invade as many spaces as possible and hoping in locking down a rich nerd. If a dude is going to be in the gym in the afternoon, it's because the gym is going to be less crowded. Less crowded means more options available for his workout and fewer people to bother him. And you're encouraging to go after these dudes, even though if the script was reversed and the man was encouraged to do the exact same thing to you, you'd call it misogynistic racisms against all women. But the same thing goes for these tech events. Now, I have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to tech get-togethers, but I'm assuming it's either seminars or networking opportunities, and if you have no business in tech or no knowledge in tech, then all you're doing is destroying business opportunities for men who actually have things going for them in their lives. Men have honored your demands to be left alone in pretty much every aspect of life, and the least you can do is return the favor, but we all know it's never happening because when you do it, it's totally different.
Here's another one. Bars that are good or cocktail lounges that are good but are not overhyped and trendy. No offense, from my experience, the guys that go to like the over trendy hype places have like a little bit of an ego or a swagger sometimes. Not what we're looking for. We're looking for high EQ men. So maybe they don't care about going to the nicest place to flex with their Rolex and show off to people, but they do know a good spot. I feel like that's a really big New York distinction. That's just my take, but good luck. The tech boyfriends, the good ones with the high EQ, are the best.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
I don't know if anybody else was asking this question, but I straight up had no freaking clue what high EQ even meant. And I did some research, and of course, it's emotional intelligence. That magical concept that modern women cannot possibly define. I mean, if she ever did get around to explaining what that crap meant, it'd be nothing short of a freaking miracle. Now, there are plenty of emotionally mature dudes out there in the world, but none of that matters unless they're working in tech and are nerdy, which is just her way of saying dudes who are more likely to simp and lead with their wallets. I mean, that's what this is all about. Emotional intelligence is really just a buzz phrase that modern women use to try to judge how easily they can control a dude. And as much as I wish that wasn't the case, it's more or less a fact. That's why she's encouraging barging into these men's spaces and trying to snatch them up as if they don't have a say in it. But I hate to break it to you, sister, if you want an emotionally intelligent man, you actually have to possess regular intelligence first. And that waved bye-bye to you the day after you were hatched.
You stupid.
And of course, we gotta shine some love on the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon whose continued support allows videos like this to be a reality every single day. So to the fine members of the Bounty Board, I cannot thank you enough, and I salute you. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you.
I'm gonna hold your hand when I tell you this, but the fastest way to detach from someone that you really love is to let them do what they want so that you can see what they'd rather do. If they want to walk away, let them. If they choose somebody else, let them. They can picture a life without you. Let them. Holding on to somebody who doesn't choose you back is like gripping onto a burning match. The longer you hold on to it, the more it hurts. Letting go isn't the pain. Pain is on holding on too long. You are wasting so much time fixating on things that you can't control. For analyzing, waiting for them to wake up, hoping they'll realize at some point what they're losing. Truth is that you cannot force somebody to appreciate you. You can, however, decide that nobody else gets to define your value. You're not an option. You're not a backup plan. Stop tying your happiness to somebody else's decisions. Let people make their choice. Let those choices reveal the truth. Sometimes the biggest act of self-love is taking a step back and watching them show you how they treat you when you're no longer proving your worth.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
No, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I've always been under the assumption that one of the reasons why we're in this mess is because modern women have been encouraged to pretty much do nothing. I mean, that's kind of their thing. They're not supposed to plan dates, they're not supposed to care for their men, and they're not even expected to provide their own transportation half the frickin' time. And it seems to me like doing nothing has done just that for you. Now, if you're in a position that you feel the need to pull this crap, then all you've really done is say that you want this guy significantly more than he wants you. And instead of just leaving him or whatever, you're going to constantly be giving him chance after chance. And he's not going to give a crap because you've given him no reason to do so. You've already proven your value to him, and it's clear to everyone that that value is next to nothing. And even if you did have a good man, it really wouldn't matter. You'd still find a reason to resent him anyway. And anytime you feel like you'd have to do more than nothing, you'll just blame him for not trying hard enough. So what's the point, woman? You've already tried nothing, and look where it's gotten you.
Nowhere! Where you going? Nowhere!
Men and women can only be friends when the girl's ugly. Trying to make guy friends when you are considered attractive is impossible. There's no way. There's no way. And you might say, oh, how do you know this? Well, I know this because I have been ugly before. When I was ugly, I had so many guy friends. It was the easiest thing to make. Friends that saw me as a sister. You know what I'm saying is true because every time an interviewer asks a guy if girls and boys can be friends, the guy's answer is always no. For a guy to genuinely think of you as a sister, you have to either have grown up with him, is his cousin, or he's just not into you. And I know girls might be upset because they live in their own delusional world where they can be friends with guys, but trust me, the way that man is thinking about you is not like how you think about him.
Wow, that's fantastic work, man. You have the wisdom of a 6,000 or 7,000 year old man. That's fantastic. We don't have to fill up the whole blackboard after all.
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but that statement makes no sense. How can girls be friends with guys if the girl is ugly? We live in a world where 99% of men are ugly and every single woman, regardless of shape, size, and facial augmentations, is considered a straight up 10. Now I will agree with you halfway. Unless it's under very specific circumstances, dudes and chicks can't really be friends, mainly because it usually ends with one party putting the other into the friend zone. We see it happen all the freaking time. The only difference is when a woman puts a guy into the friend zone, it's considered standard practice, but when a dude does it, then that chick somehow is affronted with some form of an insult. But answer me this, sister. If you were ugly and you had a whole bunch of guy friends and now you don't have any now, then what kind of men are you associating yourself with? Are you still trying to friend zone dudes who are at your level, or are you trying to make friends with men who are more attractive than you? Because I'm gonna level with you. That ain't happening. Those men have way more self-worth than you can ever have, sister.
You blew it. Capiche?
Adego, the number one thing that girls should be looking for when you are in the presence of a man that you are considering dating is, as the most abundant, lover of life, feminine, just joyful version of myself, as I am existing as this kind of person, do I feel like this man complements this version of me? And Cant said, what happens if I live, embody, and speak my unapologetic truth? Does it lead to more connection and intimacy or not? Not is he big and tall, is not is he a provider. Those are specific qualities that, yes, are important. But the most important thing is, above all, do I feel like, as the most abundant version of myself, that I am supported and that it leads to more connection? There's certainly not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to what people should be looking for in a relationship. And I think that this pretty much encapsulates everything that a woman should be looking for in a man. As the most abundant, lovely version of myself, do I feel like I am able to have more connection with this man because he complements this version of myself?
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
No, I hate to break it to you, sister, but just because you use interpretive buzz phrases about your life doesn't make it so. Let's just go ahead and break it down for a second. The only thing you have an abundance of is your arrogance. The only life you pretend to love is yours, even though you do nothing with it. And you claim to be feminine, but that's only because you think feminine means caking on 4 pounds of makeup on your face and spending way too much money at the salon and designer clothing that's only cared about by you and your hive-minded drones. Men have too much self-respect to try and compliment that because there's nothing to compliment. You're vain, you're self-indulgent, and you're full of yourself. And when we live in a world where versions of software are in constant need of spyware updates, patches, and planned obsolescence, there's really no need to try and compliment your current version as you practically insist on making yourself worse as your product ages out of the market. There's no hiding it, sister. You demand a man to compliment you, but what are you doing to compliment that man? And no, putting on makeup and only being 5 minutes late to a date doesn't count. And if you aren't willing to offer that man anything, then he's not going to bother with this version of yourself, because you are all bugs that you insist are features. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.